Persona 5 is one of, if not the most important piece of gaming media to me, as it not only reinvigorated my love for gaming, but it's also just a fantastic game in general. I first started with the vanilla Persona 5, loved it, and when Royal got re-released I had to experience it for myself. And as I went through Persona 5 Royal, there was massive changes, the most notable being two new important characters, Kasumi and Dr. Maruki. And in addition there was a third semester added, along with the Laboratory of Sorrow, the game's final palace. These two characters in a new palace edition were to be the true story of Persona 5, I should say. The game is the true way to experience Persona 5 in general. And I say that because it ties into what the Phantom Thieves did all along, the idea of changing hearts. But in the final semester's case, the idea of changing reality. In this video I want to break down what I deem important to the complexity of this new arc, so I won't be discussing much before this point in the game. I will pull some social link parts and whatnot, but this video is mainly focused on the final semester, which means there will be spoilers. Re-experiencing this game again, I wasn't aware of how many deep layers are really in this arc, the delusions of minds and the evaluation of the mind in general. This arc will have you thinking in the end. Even after finishing the script, I'm still thinking about it now. And I just want it to be clear, I am by no means an expert on the mind or on mental health. This is just my interpretation of what the arc truly is. So with all of that out of the way now, grab your popcorn, relax, and enjoy my breakdown of the complexity of the Dr. Maruki arc. To understand this arc, we first have to understand the two very new important characters, Kasumi and Dr. Maruki. Let's start with Kasumi, a kind-hearted girl we first meet on the train to school. Great first impressions of her as she's seen trying to help out an older lady. She then informs us that she is also a student of Shujin Academy. We see her a bit around the school, occasionally running into each other. She's at this point made to be a focal point of the game. At one point we end up lending a helping hand to her as she's being bothered by some older dude. She then tells us of a school cleanup we were to be at, as she wants to thank us properly there. As we meet at the cleanup, we finally get to have a sit down with her for the first time. After a bit of talking, we learn of her name from her wallet falling out of her pocket. She also seems to be striving towards goals of herself. She's an up-and-coming gymnast, and with us looking for ways to improve our athleticism, she's also looking for a coach. And there we have the start of our bond with Kasumi. As you learn the likes of Kasumi, we learn of her internal struggles as well, not being able to be at the top of her gymnastics. It's a conflict that shapes the base of what's to come for Kasumi. Now let's switch over for Dr. Maruki for a second. We first learn of Dr. Maruki in the middle of May, as it's announced that the school is now appointed to a brand new therapist. We learned that the school appointed Maruki to the kids who were connected to Kamoshida's actions. With us accepting the therapy sessions, we then start our bond with Maruki. Maruki is one of deep invoked thoughts, being able to soothe the mind with his ability to string the right words together. He is one in touch with the mind and the heart. He is a therapy counselor after all. But regardless, we learn of a paper he is writing. The more we talk with Maruki, the more he learns about it. Eventually, he plans on showing us his research when he's done. Maruki also knowing the way of the Phantom Thieves, saying he's taking an academic interest in them. At the end of his social link, we learn that Maruki wants to use his research to make the world a better place. With now going through the main game and understanding the motives and desires of each of these new characters, Kasumi's internal struggles of not being able to be at the top of her class, and Maruki wanting to use his research to change the world for the better. Now, amidst the course of the game, and after the final battle of Shido and seemingly the end of the Phantom Thieves, we awaken some dreamlike world. In the school, in fact, where Persona 5 Vanilla were to end around this time, the start of the final arc begins. We awaken on the first of the new year. Wondering where Morgana is, we head to the shrine where we meet Kasumi and the rest of the Phantom Thieves. But something is obviously off. After speaking with Kasumi's father, there seemed to be a glitch of some sort. Not realizing what it was, we proceeded on with our day. But the following day all but confirms the suspicions we had. Morgana, who was our cat companion throughout the entirety of the game, is now a boy. Futaba's mom now alive. No one seems to see what's going on either, or no one is questioning it. All but you and Akechi. Kasumi gives you a call, panicking about a palace that appeared. Akechi overhears and now you, Akechi, and Kasumi head over to see what's really going on. The shadows of the palace seem to not want us there, speaking that we're disturbing the ruler's quote-unquote research. Words like salvation being used. Like Akechi said, the words of shadows are from the minds of the ruler typically. As we finally get through all those shades, hurrying to find out what's going on, we finally see a familiar face. Dr. Maruki. His words soft, still the calmness of our once beloved counselor. He confirms that he is the ruler of this palace. Now that we finally meet up with our old friend again, I now want to give my opinion on Dr. Maruki's quote-unquote salvation. With all we knew leading up to this point, we understood that Maruki was very intent on creating a new way of life with his so-called research. The words of a counselor, we could have assumed his research was going to be connected to the way he spreads his therapy. He's always been one to help out. I've never questioned Maruki's way of thinking, until now. Maruki's research ending up being the power to create a different reality. His involvement in cognitive science ended up with him being able to split from this reality to the one that gives whatever to whoever wishes for it, claiming that the old reality to be one of cruelness and unfairness. And at this point, with us knowing how Maruki feels through his social link, being obsessed with this research, seeing how the people around us are happy, can we say he's wrong? At this very moment, can we say that Dr. Maruki's reality is wrong? Now I was thinking about it for a bit, but the more we uncovered, the more we unveil of the dystopia that Maruki may not have imagined. Kasumi plays a role in this as well. Maruki exposes Kasumi's darkest secrets, the depression, the sorrow, the dark life of Kasumi.
Today was brutal, huh? Oh. Feeling okay? It's not that. Why am I doing so bad? I keep messing up my routine. Your growth spurts just changed your eye level. You'll get used to it. Look, you're as tall as I am now. We practice the same amount. But you are the one who always gets first place. I can't catch up to you, Kasumi. You know why? Because it's my right as the elder sister. We're in the same grade, though. Oh, don't be so down. We'll reach the top of the world together. That's our dream, right? You don't get it. Huh? You'll never understand how I feel. What? Kasumi, if I were like you, things would be so much better. Hey, wait up! Kasumi's the one that people want. Look where you're going! The light's red! Hey! The talented one who can reach the top of the world. Sumire, stop! Listen to me! Sumire! Oh my god! Is she okay? What? I don't know. Did two girls get hit? Someone do something. Kasumi.
The scene speaks for itself. We finally understand who Kasumi really is. This whole time, this Kasumi we knew was actually her sister, Sumire. Akechi confirming that the real Kasumi is deceased. We now have our new understanding of the truth of Maruki and Sumire. With the story summed up to this point, and all the essential points of who Sumire and Maruki really are, what side are we on? As I was going through this entire arc again, getting myself caught up with the stories of these two, I found myself leaning towards both sides. The side of wanting to keep reality as it once was, or the fake reality that Maruki wants to create. But the deeper I really delved into the truth of Maruki's reality, I started to fear it. The reality ruled by a man who doesn't understand his own feelings. In Maruki's world, he sets forth the idea of living in a world free of pain. All people were to be subjugated to live in Maruki's painless world, being happy. All dreams come true. It's a result of Maruki's pain of losing somebody himself. His own grief along with his desire to help people made him pursue this research. But as nice of a person Maruki has been, he ends up digging his own grave with his research. To me, Maruki's first step into his dystopia was as soon as we first encountered him. He made it very clear that the type of things he would do to people who didn't see eye to eye with his research. Attacking Joker and Akechi. For someone who wants the people to live in his reality, it's hard to side with him when his ways of thinking can escalate to violence. But before I go any further, what is a dystopia? A dystopia is a state or society in which there is a great suffering or injustice, the opposite of a utopia, which is a place of ideal perfection. Maruki wants us to believe his reality is one of a utopia, but his actions speak differently. Another misstep for him was the idea of using Sumire's depression against her. This was a terrible look for Maruki. I understand the angles he's trying to take, as making the group firsthand see the effects of his research could have swayed their decisions. But for someone who spent so much of his time understanding the feelings of other humans, it shocked me that he would be the one to use depressed feelings against his own. Especially as a counselor, he's supposed to be the light at the end of the tunnel for some people. People's ways of coping can be through his words alone, and seeing him turn those same depressed feelings against people who trusted him, it's gut-wrenching. The idea of attacking mental health and its core problems can differ from case to case. Two people could experience the same type of problem, but they both could have two entirely different ways of coping with that problem. The human mind is a very complex entity, Sumire's problems being the forefront of her character's development. Someone like Maruki who understands this more than anybody else is why I think it was such a bad look for Maruki. Dealing with your problems varies. Some people can attack it head on, some people want to hide from it. Maruki straight up using Sumire's deepest problems as a way of trying to make a point is just wrong. Maruki's salvation doesn't stop here either. Another point of contention for his research was when Sumire's cognition was changed without her knowing. The final counseling session between the two, where Sumire told Maruki her problems. He changed her cognition, proceeding to call her Kasumi as well. Manipulation at its finest. The manipulation, the use of force if you disagree with his points, using mental health as an attacking mechanism. At this point, I can even say Maruki formed a messiah complex. A messiah complex. Essentially what it is that somebody, in this case Maruki, has a newfound desire to try and save everybody. Maruki seeing his research work on Sumire all but enabled this distorted Maruki. Now let's get this cleared up. Wanting to help and save people is by all means not a bad thing. Like I said earlier, I don't believe Maruki is a bad guy at all. But these forms of manipulation or using mental health against somebody, they aren't from the Maruki we once knew. His understanding of his newfound power enabled him to start doing bad things. For somebody who wants people to live in his reality, how can we trust him in the long term? At this point, you understand where I'm at with the thought of Maruki's reality. I'm not very much a fan of being in someone's reality whose messiah complex is slowly devouring them. But let's say I was a fan. Let's say Joker and the Phantom Thieves conceived to this reality. What could we expect? The biggest reason for Maruki's reality is the ability to feel happy, regardless of person. We see in full effect when the other members are seen enjoying their lives. We can expect this type of enjoyment from anyone in this reality, which makes me wonder, what of the criminals of this world? The first-hand witness to this idea would be Akechi himself. As you should already know, Akechi would become a criminal under Shido, and Akechi's mere final moments were seeing him alive, he's detained by police, seemingly atoning for his crimes. But as you see in Maruki's reality, he was set free. Thus is the game alluding to the idea that felons all alike, if subjugated to Maruki's reality, would not need to atone for their sins in the past, which is a huge red flag. Criminals whose crimes may have altered lives of families alike will get to just walk free in Maruki's reality. All of the criminals throughout the game, Kamoshido to Shido, who's to say they won't be free in this reality as well? Men who have done unspeakable things get released just like that. Which leads me into my next point, the crossing of people's beliefs. Now, what do I mean by that, you might ask? In this world, you are bound to having your reality come true. Your happiness is the forefront. Whatever you may deem to make you happy comes true. On the surface, this is awesome. Going back to my point earlier of how these criminals are seemingly set free with no repercussions, what if those same criminals have those same thoughts that made them turn evil in the first place? Those criminals who are bloodlust, fiending for power, using their ways to inflict harm on so many that have previously been hurt before. That's exactly why Akechi is such a well-written character for this arc. He's one of the living examples as to why Maruki's reality would slowly crumble. Akechi wants to atone for his sins. He knows he doesn't deserve to be just set free just because of Maruki's reality allows him to. He's the clearest example of one of many flaws in his fake reality. Also, what are the public's dreams and ambitions overlapping each other's? When I think of the other members of the Phantom Thieves, I'm reminded of Ryuji wanting to become a top-level athlete, or An wanting to become a top-level model. In Maruki's reality, how possible are those dreams? Because what if a million other people want that same dream? What if that's a reality that could make them happy as well? One of the things with sports is that it's a competition. Being the only person at the top is the goal. That's what competition is. In Ryuji's reality, would that be possible? I think throughout the final arc you may see everybody on the surface be happy over their current situations, but I believe problems like I just mentioned could easily occur. We get a glimpse of everyone's life for a moment, but as humans we are always changing. Our goals changing and things that make us happy can change too. I don't think Maruki has thought well enough into his plan. But one thing I am sure of is that Takatsu Maruki is a good-hearted person. Not once going through this arc again, and even while I was writing the script, did I believe Maruki to in any way be evil. He is just someone, like the rest of us, who sometimes can't bear the pain of loss. As much as he loves helping people, at the end of the day he needed to help himself. I think his evolution of his character showed that. In the end, he prioritized the act of helping others before he took care of himself. Which is quite ironic considering the fact that he is a counselor after all. This game did such a fantastic job at showing every possible angle of the human psyche. Regardless of who you are, you're bound to handle your own problems differently than other people. Persona 5 Royal's writing was amazing, showing the evolution of Maruki and the choices to come. All in all, I do genuinely believe that his plan would slowly start to decay over time, slowly turning his once utopia into an unforeseen dystopia. Reliving the experience of Persona 5 Royal again was definitely a reawakening for me. My first time playing through this game, I didn't realize how many layers I could pull back from this arc alone. It's one of the best written arcs of any game I've played in the last couple of years. And getting to sit down and dive deeper into what this arc really was a journey. It got my mind really churning because honestly at one point I didn't even know who was right or wrong. Even now I don't know if Maruki was wrong for wanting to save people. But I do know that in the end, I believe Joker and the Phantom Thieves made the correct decision. And that's all for my evaluation of the Royal final arc. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, why not like and subscribe? I post analysis-based gaming videos. It'll help the channel grow a ton. And whose side were you on? Did you believe in Maruki's reality or not? And let me know any points I might have missed out on. Would love to debate this arc in the comments. But that's all for me. Thank you everyone for watching, and goodbye.